my bad. All right. Let's go ahead and get kicked off. See if anyone joins in. Where's Q? There it is.
It was a pretty solid day yesterday.
Cool. Yeah, it's Thursday though. We'll see if anyone joins.
Yeah, you're right.
If not, oh, it's because Noah was doing yesterday. Ah, there we go. I see attendees starting to join. Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and get started here. Sorry, I'm delaying a couple seconds to see if anyone else wants to join. But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and get kicked off here. Yeah, everyone can see my screen. I am unmuted. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Welcome, everyone. This is our Decisions Daily Lunch and Learn. If this is your first one or you're watching this online, this is a time where we take someone at Decisions, an employee, hopefully someone who has some expertise, and sit them down for an hour from noon to 1 p.m. Eastern time to just really answer any questions you may have, and nothing's off limits. So it's a time to say, do you want to ask questions about something you're stuck on, how to solve a problem in Decisions, where the best Chinese takeout is, really anything goes. And so what we do is we have different employees from different sectors of the company kind of sit down and offer advice or answer questions or really just help point you in the right direction. If it's something we can't answer here on this call, we'll be sure to follow up and get you to the right people. So I'm the last one this week. You'll see on this slide. That is me, Eric Walmerink, product team. I'm currently the product manager over at Decisions, and I've been here for about 9 years. Gosh, really doing everything. It's fun to look back on and see the growth of the company and kind of the different things we have. But I've served in just about every role you could imagine, except possibly sales. I don't think I've ever actually sold anything in Decisions. But that being said, I'd love to answer any questions you have about the product. So the way this works is I can share my screen. We can talk about really anything. So post your questions in the chat. There's a webinar chat button you can click. There's also a question and answer panel you can type your questions into, or if you'd prefer to have a dialogue and talk about it and have your voice heard by me, you can go to the participants panel. And there should be a little raise hand button. And if you raise your hand, we'll let you come off mute and we can talk about any questions you have and dialogue it that way as well. So while you're thinking of those and coming up with your best stumpers, just some highlights here and some notes so that you guys are aware of kind of some high level things that we're doing in Decisions. End of life has been set for all versions up to and including version 6. And so this is just this is in a lot of our contracts, and something for you to be aware of is we always have 2 versions that we primarily support. The first one is kind of our primary version, is the one that we add new features to, we iterate on, it gets a little bit more aggressive release cycle. And that currently today is version 8. It's the latest version of Decisions. We strongly encourage you to upgrade to it. And it's something that we would help you with either through our support team or your customer success manager to walk through that. And then we have the kind of long-term support version behind that would today be version 7. Version 7 is where we still apply security fixes and hot fixes for our customers, but you won't see any new features released there. And so that's still in long-term support. You're going to see that continue to move forward, but everything up to that will now no longer get hot fixes and security patches and those sorts of things. So just some notes for you guys to be aware of and something that we're doing. And then, oh man, we got to update. I always do these things. Just so you guys are aware, we do regular webinars of a number of different topics. I personally give the product roadmap one. The problem is it was an hour ago or 2 hours ago, or an hour ago, so you missed it. But that's okay. The next one will be in 2 weeks here. Actually, no, sorry. The next one will be in 3 weeks here. In 2 weeks, we have a customer event that I will be at, so I'll no longer be able to present this presentation. But we're going to go ahead, and what this is we walk through specifically the product roadmap, diving into detail, all the different R&D initiatives and tasks, the major different updates that we're going to be doing and applying across the Decisions platform. It's a great way for you to get in touch with kind of the future of what we're looking at the Decisions. So check it out, decisions.com/events. And you're welcome to go take a look and see what we're doing and talk to me. So I'm happy to give you some information there. So, all right, no text questions, but I do see Morel here has her hand. So we're going to go ahead and have you allowed to come off mute. There we go. Thank you, Caitlin. And yeah, what can I answer for you? Good to see you. She was just on. You were just on the roadmap presentation, so you get to hear me twice.
Yes. So we are working through the details of upgrading from version 6 to version 8. And I think 2 weeks ago, we talked about, or maybe 4 weeks ago, I don't know, the documentation being updated to reference version 8.9. Is there any update on when that will be available?
It should have already been done. Let's go double check. I thought that I had asked the team to do that.
The last time I looked, which was a little while ago, it was something that was out in like January 13th. So
okay. So this is under no, this is under, where is that document? I know what you're talking about. Upgrading, right? 6 to 8.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, and like in here we had specifically mentioned.
Perfect. All right, thank you. I didn't realize that had been completed.
Yeah, it notes here, but I think we added the plus sign, and I think there's one other place actually in the document that specifically calls out a version. So yeah, I believe this is updated, but please take a look, and if it's not, let me know right away, and I'll go yell at myself because I must have submitted the ticket wrong. But we'll get it fixed. We'll get it updated right away. You bet.
Well, this is later than the one I saw before, so
cool.
Yeah, it's after 8.5 for sure.
Yeah,
the one
totally.
I saw was like January or something.
Okay. Yeah, this should definitely be updated. It looks like they updated it about 10 days ago.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Anything else while you're off mute?
Not that I can think through that fast.
Yeah, no problem. You need to think about it. Looks like Wade has a question too, so we can let him go next. Hey, Wade, how's it going, sir?
Sorry, y'all, moving around.
No, it's all right. You're good. There we go.
I keep clicking on mute, but it's not. There we go.
There we go. We can hear you now.
Her up.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. So I was on Tuesday's call, Tuesday or Mondays, and I had a question about just how to connect to Salesforce custom objects. And he showed me how to, let's see. Let me go to my flow here. He showed me how to go to the service URL and add that and do all those things. But then the video wasn't recorded, so I'm trying to remember exactly how the URL was built, and there's like no references as far as how that works. I mean, I can do it fine in Salesforce Workbench. I can do a REST API call and build a body, and it works fine. But as soon as I put everything into here, it just doesn't go. I did the standard step as far as like inserting an account, and it works fine. So it makes me believe that, okay, my authorization token and all that seems to be good because it's actually doing something on the standard step. But when I go to the Salesforce update data step, it just, whatever I do, it just doesn't want to do anything. So I was just, how exactly is that service URL built? How exactly is the data, like the body of the request built?
That is a great question. I don't know if I can connect to Salesforce right now. And this is my local module, so I don't know if this is going to work. Let's take a look real quick. If I'm not the best Salesforce integrator, I guess is a way to say it. It was Will you were working with on Tuesday?
I believe so. Yeah, it took him a little bit to find it, but he found an actual flow that had it in there and had it all set up. And I was like, ooh, these aren't recorded, are they? Where I could go back to them.
Yeah.
If you check your chat, I actually just sent you the link.
Oh, okay. I think it was, there's Monday or Tuesdays. That would be perfect, because he paused on there, but trying to remember that, it's almost impossible for me.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. This is Tuesdays. I'm trying to see if I can grab it real quick while we're together.
I timestamped Wade's how to insert update custom object records in Salesforce. I'm starting at like 1 minute.
Oh wow, so it's way back here. I was way at the end.
Yeah, he was one of the first questions.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones. Yeah.
All right, we'll see if we can get you an answer right now. If not, it looks like Caitlin very thankfully put it in the put it in the chat. So this is on actually updating the object, right? In the flow.
Yeah, I was just trying to update insert. We have custom objects, and I'm using the Salesforce approvals module now, but I was like, well, it'd be nice if it was more custom, and to get more experience at decisions, to use decisions for the approval process. So I was like, but it's a custom object, so I need all those custom steps.
Yeah, totally. I don't have the audio on. Anyway. See, this looks like SQL query stuff. I don't see Salesforce stuff. Here we go. All right, let's see if we can grab. So it looks like
they clicked into it. Yeah, that. Okay.
So I'm gonna go back a few seconds and see where he clicked. Okay, yeah. So this is service URL after instance. Is that the field that you're trying to configure?
I think this is this the data part, the data section?
This looks like the service URL. So / services / data. I think that's a V. I might call it
S object. Okay.
It's a system constant. So he adds the API version, Salesforce Sync API version. I think this system constant comes automatically when you configure your Salesforce integration.
Oh, and so he's pulling that so he knows the most up-to-date version. Okay.
Yeah, so he's for sure calling the right version URL, and then S object / account / whatever the Salesforce ID is.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And you don't even need the beginning, like before services. You don't even need anything in there. It's just that.
I'm 99% sure that just pulls it from the integration details.
I think that's what's messing everything up, is that I was putting the full URL before services.
Certainly.
And then because I was like, I'm going to eliminate all variables. I'm just going to insert the whole thing in there so I know exactly where's it going. Okay, so that's probably my mistake, is I need to get rid of everything before /services. I was mainly setting the version, but that's nice to know that I can make that dynamic.
Yeah, you can grab that from a system constant. I think this is also just an opportunity to fix this, either the step or the documentation, because I didn't, this needs to be clear. So I'll take as a takeaway, I'm going to go see if we can just do something better on the product. But hopefully that works for you. And if not,
no, that's perfect. And I got the video to look back on this too. So and I guess in a day I'll have a video of the video, so it'll be even better.
Even better.
Right.
But yeah, if that doesn't work, probably your fastest bet is to email support, and make sure you mention Will and me now. And that'll raise all the red flags, and we can get you an answer right away.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. You bet. I'll put you on the spot like I put Muriel on the spot. Any other questions while you're off mute?
No. I was trying to also connect. We have an Oracle database. I was trying to connect to that, and everything seemed to go easy enough on the decision side, but it's trying to expose our database to decisions, because you have to be, everything that we're connected to is internal. Like you have to be on VPN and all that stuff to even connect to our database. So it's a whole process to expose that. So I think that I just got to work internally on that. But other than that, it seems very straightforward. So I was happy for that.
Cool. Good to know. Awesome. Sweet. Any news on ChatGPT and Decisions? This is actually, it's funny you mentioned this. Kind of. What we can do is I can get you in touch with, we have a sales engineer who's, I'm not sure if they're doing it for a customer. We've had a couple questions on it. In short, since ChatGPT is just open API and it's a really simple integration, it would be somewhat trivial to just connect to it and call all the different service methods. So essentially, yes, you could very easily connect decisions and through service methods do ChatGPT stuff, like say you have a chatbot or anything. As far as like roadmap wise, are we intending to integrate anything like our help chat with ChatGPT or anything like that? No, not at the moment. I will say it has sparked a number of interesting debates internally about kind of the future of What does machine learning and AI look like for a automation tool such as Decisions? And so really there's two tactics we're approaching this with. And the first is one we're already committed to doing. We've already started prototyping. And that is just leveraging better machine learning techniques as a developer, right? So you could say you're building a case entity model and you model it out, you model your cases. Could you take a set of data and using machine learning get a result? Yes, absolutely. And that's something we're already looking at adding libraries and steps to say like, hey, leveraging my process mining insights and the data that I already have and this case entity structure, if I give you this application, what is the probability it gets approved? Applying machine learning models to data and decisions is a no-brainer, and that's actually already on the roadmap. Actually, I can jump to the roadmap really quick. That's on the roadmap in a couple of different areas up here, where we're targeting both that level of thing, but also kind of like built-in modeling for designers and developers, right? Where we can say, as a developer, we've noticed that you're building an approval process. And so here's the 10 most common steps that we've learned, customers use when building out an approval process. And we can suggest steps that way, or like in the rules engine, being able to say, hey, if you want your rule to behave in this percentage of true and false, we recommend using these verbs given this set of data in these models. Those are no-brainers. We're 100% going to be doing those sorts of things. The more interesting one, which is not any of our competitors have come out and said they are going to do, but some have hinted at, is actually using machine learning to build automations. And this is where, like ChatGPT can actually generate code, right? Like this is a similar concept where we would say, take this data and take these desires and create the flow for me. We're not convinced we're doing that yet, or at least that the technology is there to do that yet in a very easily repeatable way. And so as far as that kind of tactic of applying machine learning and AI to the Decisions platform, I would just say as a strong maybe. We don't know. And that's something we're going to continually kind of keep an eye on, debate, and evaluate. But applying machine learning and AI stuff to Decisions, no brainer. It won't be ChatGPT to start. We don't have any plans specifically with that, but you could integrate with it. No problem. I actually helped look up all the API documentation and it looks really straightforward. I haven't done it yet. I know someone on our team has, and I think just to play with, honestly, but it does work. So that's a neat point there. Yeah, I find it fascinating. ChatGPT I've wasted many hours asking it pointless questions and having it write CSS for me. So it's been fun. Cool. All right, see no raised hands or questions still. What else can I show off? Not a question referring to flow looks great. Debugged and flow updated. Awesome, cool. Great. So that was the missing piece, Wade. Thank you for letting us know. I will not keep, I'll keep an eye on support, but I won't specifically look for any more questions. If you do have more questions, support's probably your fastest way to get in touch with those examples. But I want to look at that documentation. There might be a better way to do this. Yeah, what else can I talk about? This is an experimental build I'm on, which is probably something new. This is some early design around thinking about how project view is going to work and behave, right? So you come in, you have your list of projects, you'll go into those projects, and when actually you're supposed to enter into the project. No, here. There we go. And when you enter into the project, you have some pre-filtered reporting and dashboarding that shows you all the different work inside of here. You have your big info panel. This is not usable. Anyway, project view, if you weren't on the roadmap call, this is a future enhancement to first organize all of your work into projects. And then when you enter into those projects, you actually you build and design, and you have a folder tree here to go through and create all the different components and pieces. But what it allows us to do is it gives us better visualization and understanding of what it takes to build and run a project in Decisions, which then in turn allows me to deploy these things a lot simpler because I can see the status of just this project. I can deploy it from one server to another. We have the concept of projects now in the repository, but it's almost subtle. It's almost hidden. We're gonna just put that in your face and make it bold and say, hey, projects are a thing. That's where you build and design. We're going to put some really good default visualizations around it and make it really easy for you to develop and design it. It also should improve a lot around the complexity of dependency browsing and the way that we tie work together in Decisions. So anyway, without belaboring this point too much, I'm really excited about Project View, and it's some really cool roadmap stuff we're doing. All right, what else? What else can I ramble about? See if there's any other questions. Oh, here's the Project View screen. That's what I was looking for. Let's see. I could go through these screens again. I'll just do this for a couple minutes if anyone cares. Sorry, Mirel, you just saw these screenshots, but I'm gonna go a little bit slower through them. But I have a few minutes. I just want to show some cool things coming down the pipeline. As product manager, we're working pretty heavily on getting these. Oh, actually, I have a real question come in. Cool, I can answer that. Anyway, we're working really heavily on some new designs and UI updates. So I'll show these screenshots off in just a minute. But a question came in: is process mining available, and do you have to pay extra for it? Wonderful question. Yes, available, and no, you don't have to pay extra for it. Now, currently, so if you're unaware, process mining is, I guess I'll go to the documentation site. Process mining is the ability to take executed data, state-driven data. So think of a process folder or a case entity and report on it in a way, in a visual designer that kind of gives you visualization of how your process is executing. So you can do things like visualize all the different pathing and variants of what's going on. You can put some models around it and see if it conforms to those models. You can apply SLA windows and get measurements and graphing on whether or not your process is meeting your SLAs. And if not, where are the slowdowns and who are the actors in play who are making the slowdown and timing, outside of your SLA window. So anyway, Process Mining is a company, we actually acquired them back at the end of 2021 and immediately put them into production, tied them to Decisions at the beginning of 2022 with version 8. So the only thing to note here, though, is that it's free for all of our customers. So if you are a Decisions full license customer, you can absolutely use Process Mining, but it does require a separate install process currently. We are going to be improving that over the next couple releases and hopefully having that as just one install experience. But Process Mining now, if we are hosting your install, just go ahead and contact support. And if you are hosting your install, go ahead and contact support, but we'll help you get it installed and connected to your Decisions install. And then once you do that from inside Decisions, it's as simple as when I have a project here and I've created a data structure that is state driven. So I come to user defined types and we build a case entity. You could turn on Process Mining and just say enable Process Mining as a thing, and it will automatically send your data. And then there's a right-click action when you do that to connect to the Process Mining Studio and to see the visualizations and mapping and those sorts of things as well. So it's really cool. It is free. We just have to go through an additional install process currently to get that enabled. Now, in addition to that, we will be selling just Process Mining licenses, independent of everything else, in Decisions as well. So that is, if you are interested in just getting a license for Process Mining, you can contact our sales team. Now, could it be, oh my gosh, I'm choked a little bit, sorry. Could it be installed on Docker? Yes, you can install it into a container or on as a Windows service on the Windows server as well. So both are able to be used for your install. Great questions. Hold on, answer. There we go. Cool. Yeah, wonderful. Process mining is pretty cool. I saw a hand raised. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else about process mining I want to mention first, unless your question's on process mining, but let's go ahead. I don't think there's anything else I want to really dive into. There's some really cool things. You actually don't have to use Decisions data. You can import, CSV log data or BPMN data and get it imported into process mining that way. And then you have your visualization to dive into it and start looking at stuff as well. Yeah, you can analyze the process map. Anyway, lots of cool things there. Wait, I saw you that you had your hand raised. Why don't you go ahead and ask your question before I ramble too much?
Yep. So we have a, I guess it's hard. We have an internal application And part of that application is there's going to be different steps along the way of an order. There's going to be approvals. What's the best way to make that for the user as seamless as possible to submit a request in that system? We want to process it through Decisions and maybe through Salesforce too, but how do you make it as seamless as possible where you might not necessarily know that you're in Decisions submitting that request? It seems like it's in the application.
Yeah, certainly. Are you going to be leveraging like our UI components? Are you going to build a form in Decisions and you want them to fill it out, or are you just going to be calling us, like you're going to build your form in some other React technology and then call us as a service? Or have you not decided yet?
I don't think I've decided yet. Some of them there will be a forms. I guess it might be a combination of both. It depends on which thing they're trying to approve at the time. Like some things will know all the things they need to approve, but then in other approvals there'll have to be a form that they'll have to fill out with other data points.
Certainly. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do. I'm just going to get an app installed so that I have something to point to when I talk about it. Installing, successful. Cool. Guess I didn't need to refresh. It's fine. Debt to income calculator. Okay. I just needed something to run. So like this is a flow, right? And it runs. There's a form here, and you type in some stuff. Flows right in the background. It gives you some calculation here. I have a 1200% debt to income calculator. Awesome. If this has UI bits to it, now there's a couple of different ways you could call this, right? If you want to give someone access to Decisions, I could put this on the folder panel here and let them navigate to it, or click a workflow catalog item. It looks like there's one here to go ahead and kick stuff off. But you're saying, to be clear, you don't necessarily want them to know it's Decisions, right?
They have to log into so many systems now. We're just trying to eliminate that, and make it seamless for them, where it's like it doesn't really matter that they know that they're in Decisions or not. They just like as little logins as possible. I guess in my head, for some of the not Decisions, but for other situations, when they click on something, they have to then log into that. I mean, I'll probably integrate single sign-on, but even then, will there be an extra click if they have to go with that, or do they even need to log in?
Yeah, certainly. Gotcha. So if we're going to integrate just with a component, so let's start here and then we could have the broader conversation as well. Like you have this flow, it may or may not have UI on it, but somehow you're going to integrate with it. So you can integrate with it just as a service and then have your own UI that you manage. But say you wanted to use our forms. If you enable a flow to be integrated with, either just as an API call, or in our case, with some user interface around it, you do that, you click save, or in our case, you click view, and then you can configure how users are going to get to this thing and what it's going to look like on their screen. So this is something you could take this URL and embed it like in an iframe in another system. But you can also do things here, like if you don't want to have them log in, like you can force them to log in with Decisions credentials. You can apply guest credentials so that the authentication comes in as a guest. You can even I don't have it here, but you can even set up like a service account or a named session and have them integrate with it that way as well. And regardless of what you do, this is going to give you, let's say we give them the direct URL, you can give the embed code if you're going to embed it somewhere else. You can have the flow auto restart from the beginning. You can choose how you want it short on your screen, what the size is, whether or not you want a background, what the border for that background is. You can get really specific here, right? This will give you this URL that when you send to someone will just launch in a browser just this. So it can be branded any way you want, and I can still run this process and it doesn't know anything about, like this is other than the URL probably saying Decisions, which again, you could mask. This would just be a form that loads in their browser, or even like a dashboard or page. So you can do this with forms. You can even do this with whole dashboards. Like if I go to this, I think this has a nice dashboard on it, right? Like say I have this dashboard here and I want to allow someone to integrate with it, or to get to it. And same thing, you can view integration details here. We got to figure out who they are. This is your single sign-on. You could pass that into here. It wants to be on HTML. I want Chrome off, meaning I don't want any of the Decisions branding. And then there, oh, that should have worked. might be my experimental build. But this link essentially, I can fake it here. When they navigate to it, bummer, would essentially be this page cut off right here. So you wouldn't see this left panel, you wouldn't see this top header, you would just see the defined page. And so whatever's on the page, whatever flows or rules, or in this case, reports, would show up as well. So you can integrate with things directly. I guess the authentication piece to not force them to sign on again is what you want to decide. Do you want to have guest accounts and then they fill out their details on the form? Do you want to do single sign-on and pass the authentication in as tokens? But we absolutely can craft it so that their experience is seamless, and then you manage kind of the state-driven process through either independent flows that manage the data or like one big flow that calls in and out. So a couple different options.
Trying to fix my Salesforce issue, I stumbled upon that integration piece at the top right, and I was like, I'm not sure what this does. I'm gonna leave it alone. It seems half right, but I'm gonna leave it alone. But yeah, no, I think that's exactly what I was looking for, is that piece. I like how it popped up, and like I said, I'm not really concerned that they know it's a decisions or not. I just want it for them. Is it an extra login? Is it an extra step? Because the whole purpose of it was for them to. Because right now it's just a bunch of emails back and forth. So we want it to be as easy for them as possible and as quick as possible.
Certainly. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So that's something you can craft when you set up your integration, depending on how you want to do it. So yeah, it's just as a high level note, as something as you're looking at decisions, all flows, all rules, all reports, all, I guess not really forms because they're part of flows, but all forms, rules, reports, and dashboards and pages can be integrated with directly. So you can call, like I pulled it up here, you can call just this flow as a service, as a post or get service, and get back the calculated results as a JSON return. Something that's also cool, not to set your mind kind of too crazy, is that anything you do in decisions actually is a service you can call. So adding users as part of the account service, you can call the account service directly. Even creating folders or creating tasks or completing tasks is a service, and you actually can call that service directly. If you ever want to see those as an administrator, you can go to System Administration Features, All Services, and this lists out all of the independent decision services that actually you can call independently. So again, not to get too deep down the rabbit hole, but you could come into here and go to, say, it's the assignment, not tasking, it's the assignment service, and right click here and say view integration details, and see all of the methods that basically exist as part of the portal that you can just run independently and call via either a get or post call. So if you wanted to, I think there's a create assignment up here, or add simple assignment, you can come see what it would look like to call this as an API. Anyway, that gets, again, a little deep down the rabbit trail, but just as you're thinking through solving problems and decisions, the thing to take away is all of our flows and rules you can connect to, and then obviously we have integrations to connect out to those systems as well. We want to make integration a core belief or kind of capability of decisions, and so that's always something we're going to support.
That's great. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that kind of broadens my view of how many different things we could integrate it with and how easy it would be. Yeah. No, great. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Again, not trying to go too deep down. And to make it even crazier, I said I'm not going to go deep, and I'm going deep. All of those services exist as steps in the workflow. So you actually can create a workflow that does anything in decisions. So anything you do in decisions, you can do with a flow or do as a service call. It's here. Fun. All right. Cool. Good questions. I like interesting questions. They make me think. All right. Well, I said I'll show these slides, so I will to anyone else who's interested. Just while we're here. Yep. Some mobile portal updates. We're updating the mobile portal UI. So this is going to decisions from a browser on your phone, like a Chrome or a Safari, and getting into the experience here of looking at, running workflows, or looking at a task list, or looking at your folder tree. There's even designs around looking at reports on your phone as well. So you may have to rework some crafting of those forms and reports to make them look better on phones. but we've updated the UI and UX around it drastically. This is a massive improvement. So you'll be able to see these here. This is the idea around project view. And again, not to this call is if you want more, join the product roadmap call. I went heavy on it today. But the idea being is that we want to group together all of your work into projects first for reporting, visualization, and deployability. And so there's going to be a whole new suite of UIs that give you the top level organization, the management of those things and permissions, and then more importantly to me, I need to delete that slide, the visualization of those items. So what is the health of my items? You know, are they following best practices? What changes have I made locally versus the version that's up on the deployment server? You know, what things have I added, removed, updated, and how do I then push or pull or check those things into the deployment server? What is the deployment server doing? What other servers have connected, and who's pushed what work up into there? This actually has gotten updated too. But how do I see what's going on as far as my deployments, what servers have received the latest versions, et cetera. To-dos are fun. I mentioned this in the last call, but to-dos are the ability to say, hey, I'm going to add a very simple communication note on a flow step or a flow or a rule or a folder, and that gets added to your project and gives you links to connect to it. So I can say, hey, you can tag people. So I can say, hey, at Caitlin, I'm struggling to work with, I'm struggling on this step. Can you please take a look at it? And she would get a note and it would show up in the to-do list here. She can click the link to go straight to that step, which I think is really, really cool. And then issues, yeah, see some things. Anyway, so the big idea here is I kind of just click through some of these screenshots is we're reorganizing your work into things called projects. They're going to be a lot better visualized, a lot safer for your developers to build in, so you can have better confidence in what you're doing. One thing I didn't get to spend a lot of time on the last call is we're going to add a lot of settings to these projects. Now that we've grouped your work together, we can configure all the like-minded things about those projects in a much simpler way. So how do you have a error handling specific to this project? How do you log data specifically to that project? Do you want those kind of configurable constants only for items in the project, not for the global entirety of the portal? We get a lot of capability once we kind of add this layer of organization around it. So you'll see a lot of that come in as well. And then this is the last screenshot I'll show for now so that there's time. I see a question came in too. I'll get to that in a sec. Is, you know, the project-based portal view inside of there is looking at your integrations. So when you say, as we just showed Wade, I want these flows to be enabled to be interacted with via get calls, and these flow are going to be get and post, and this flow is a UI. We want like a Swagger-like view. Swagger is a way to organize all your API calls and definitions, so that you can very quickly see at a project level. Oh, sorry, that's my phone. At a project level, here's all the bits and components that make up the service methods inside of a project. And you could quickly see there, make changes, test them, view the integration details, et cetera. Instead of like I did just on my screen, you know, a minute ago, which is dive directly into the flow and have to go edit it there. So anyway, a lot of cool stuff's coming. Project View is probably the biggest undertaking we've done in a couple of years outside of, or at least front end update we've done in a couple of years outside of changing the back end architecture a couple of years ago. But anyway, a lot of work to do here. So I'm excited about it. And that's thing to do. Now, question came in. I've just been noodling on this. I'm not sure I 100% understand the question or even know the answer to it, but I'm going to read it out loud and try to work through it. Would division operations work properly on decisions running on ARM processor? I have no idea, to be perfectly honest. Division operations work properly on decisions running on ARM processors. I don't know. Not really sure. I understand. I guess I would probably need to know a little bit more about the context of what you're trying to do. And honestly, I need to know more about the kind of what ARM processor, you know, kind of distinction is and what the differences are between other hosting options. So I don't know. Let me go ahead and grab. Oh, it's anonymous. So probably what we should do here is if you would like an answer to this, I'll take note of it and go ask the smarter people on our team. But also, please email me, Eric@decisions.com, ERIC, just first name, super easy. And I'll be happy to track down kind of the answers. I may have some follow-up there about what you're trying to do, but I can at least get you in front of the right people who can answer that for you. My first stumper. I think I answered most of their questions today, but yeah, please send me an email and I'll follow up with you and we'll make sure we get you the answer. All right, fun. Well, we got about, I guess, 18 minutes left. I'll dawdle for another minute or two and see if there's any questions, but if there's no further questions, you guys now know how to get a hold of me, so you can please feel free to ask, but if not, we'll kind of wrap things up and I'll let you guys get back to solving the world's problems. Fix that screenshot. There we go. All right, going once, no hands, no questions, going twice. Sold. All right, well, thank you all. That was a kind of a good range of questions and topics we covered. Again, we do this every Monday through Thursday, so join back next Monday. I don't know how often I do these personally, so next time you see me on the schedule, you can avoid me. But yeah, do we know who's on next week, Caitlin?
Let me pull up my schedule. 2 seconds.
I don't think I'm on next week, but that's
Can't
all right.
believe we're already approaching March. Next week we have Will, Dylan, and Akshay.
Oh gosh, what a crew. Will, Vice President of the customer, I guess is his official title. Anyway, Will don't tell him I said this. Will is actually smarter than me, but I've been here longer, so I have to act smarter than him. But he can solve just about any problem, so feel free to talk to him. Dylan, professional services guy, just crazy smart, has built a ton of real world stuff. Really good. And Akshay is one of my favorite humans. I wish I could meet him in person. Akshay is part of our, is he officially sales engineer? Is that, anyway, I gotta have to think about it. But Akshay, again, has done just a ton of work in the platform. So those next week has a whole crew of people who are really good in the platform, in the tool itself. I'm good at conceptually thinking high level. They're really good in the actual weeds and details. So please feel free to check those out. Otherwise, I'll stop rambling. Thank you all. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'm sure I'll catch you another one of these in the future. So take care, y'all. Y'all have a good day.
Thanks, Eric. Have a good one, everybody.